Hello, my friend, and welcome to Something for Everybody. My name is Aaron Mashbitz, and today is a solo episode all about self-image, really how to create or construct the new you or the best version of yourself. It's really self-image 101. So let's jump right in. Self-image is how you perceive yourself. It is a number of self-impressions that have built up over time. These self-images can be very positive, giving a person confidence in their thoughts and actions, or negative, making a person doubtful of their capabilities, ideas, talent, potential, or whatever. And a human being always acts and feels and performs in accordance with what he imagines to be true about himself or herself and their environment. So we will never consistently outperform a poor self-image, and that changing a self-image that is keeping you from reaching your targets or goals may be the most important skill that you will ever learn. Hence why we're doing this episode. So right now, before we dive into the ways that you can improve your self-image, your self-esteem, or your identity, ask yourself these questions. How's your self-image? How do you see yourself? Is it helping or hindering you in reaching your targets? Think about those questions, potentially even pause this episode, contemplate those questions, then come back to this episode to figure out how we can then move forward to improve our self-image, to create or construct this new best version of ourself that's always been inside of us. We're not creating anything new, we're untapping our potential and our perceptions about ourselves. And an important thing when it comes to self-image is identity. I've said this a lot in this podcast, but if you're a brand new listener, perfect. This is great for you. And it's a good review for my longtime loyal listeners. Identity, what is it? I've defined identity as repeated beingness. So it has no correlation to what you do. You could be a plumber, you could be a baseball player, you could be a coach, you could be a mom, you could be a influencer, you could be a rocket scientist, you could be an astronaut, you could be a grocery clerk, a truck driver. It doesn't matter. Your identity is not attached to what you do. So that's why it's defined as repeated beingness. So who are you being? That's why it's attached to your self-image. And your self-image and your identity are strongly attached to your actions. Your actions are strongly attached to your core values, your first principles. And so you have to do the hard work, the lonely, hard work, the inner work to understand your core values, then try your best to constantly put them into actions and have your words and actions line up through your core values. That's how you start to change your identity, because you're repeatedly being the person you said you wanted to be. I want to be honest, kind, resilient, grateful, compassionate, passionate, energetic, zestful, like all of these great values. I want to be in integrity. I want to be grateful. I want to be free. I want to be resilient. Okay, cool. These are all amazing core values. Find 3 to 7 that most align with you, and then be about it. That's your identity. So no matter what job or occupation or domain or vocation you have the intrinsic nature of who you are dialed in so deeply that you're not attached to anything that you do. You're attached or driven by your core values and your repeated beingness, which has a strong correlation to your self-image, as you're going to see as we dive into some things that are going to help you improve your self-image. So I wanted to mention identity because it's a strong, important piece that is just sort of in the center of your self-image. It's your identity. It's how you see and view yourself. Refer to the definition that we started this episode with, right? So it's all in one. So you could interchange a lot of these words: identity, self-image, self-esteem. There's a lot of self words, but really what we're trying to do is get outside of ourselves by understanding our core values and then putting them into action. But there's some inner work that we have to do to understand that at a deeper level so we can improve our self-image. So here, I think we have 6. I've identified 6 ways that we can improve our self-image. Now, there may be more. There may be some different ones that you've come up with or you've seen other people talk about. These are just the 6 that I have talked about. And so I think step number 1 is awareness acceptance, and action. This is my 3-step approach to making any sort of change you want in your life. And it goes right along with our self-image. Why? Because first we have to be aware. We have to recognize, we have to be mindful that our self-image is hindering our way of life, our quality of life. We don't see ourselves in the mirror as this powerful, capable, strong person that we really are. We see something else because of experience in childhood, parents, events, all of these things wrapped up into one make us feel this way. So it's not your fault, but you have to become aware of that it's hindering your quality of life, that things could be better than they are right now. You could feel better than you do right now. That's possible. So we have to be aware of that. Then we accept that fact. We accept the fact that there's many years of experiences, environments, and conversations and people that have shaped our self-image. So we accept that. We accept this reality because we can't fight against reality because reality will always win. So we're aware, we accept, and then we move into action. And action is what we're going to talk about in the next 5 steps. But this step is most important because it sums up everything. You want to change anything in your life, use this 3-step approach. Become aware, recognize that it's a thing, accept it, deeply accept it. You're overweight, you need a new job, your marriage is struggling, you want to change your self-image, you have to accept it. Yes, it may be hard, it may suck, it may be really, really bad, but you have to accept it because that's the only place you can move from. And then if you're thinking about habit change, you make those habits too small to fail and you slowly, incrementally change the one thing at a time. Then over time, 10 years time, you've changed your whole entire life and your self-image has come with that. But then the last step, the most important step, nothing's ever going to change unless you have action. Action, 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 action. Boom. So number 2, change the story. Change the story. We all have a narrative or a story we've created about ourselves that shapes our self-perceptions, upon which our core self-image is based. If we want to change that story, we have to understand where it came from and where we receive the messages we tell ourselves. Understanding the question, whose voices are we internalizing? So a part of that awareness and acceptance step is changing the story, changing the narrative around yourself, understanding where all of these things came from and tackling them head on. And then number 3, after I take a drink of water. Okay, number 3 being channel your inner rock star. Albert Einstein said, everybody is a genius. Everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. We have our strengths and weaknesses. Someone may be a brilliant musician, but a dreadful cook. Neither quality defines their core worth. That's why I talk about identity in the way that I do. Because you're intrinsically valuable and you have worth and matter no matter the situation. Recognize what your strengths are and the feelings of confidence they engender, especially in times of doubt. It's easy to make generalizations when you mess up or fail or fall short or whatever the case may be, but reminding yourself of ways you rock your inner rock star offers a more realistic perspective of yourself. And we're going to, step number 6 is how you really have this positive reinforcement. But a thing I've talked about a lot in this podcast is this 3-step reflection questionnaire that you can ask yourself. Question number 1, what went well? You can do this at the end of the day, at the end of the week, but you're thinking about things in a more realistic way rather than letting your brain sort of warp what happened based on some mistakes, some challenges, some setbacks. So you're thinking step number 1, what went well or what was awesome? Boom, write it all down. This crushed it, crushed it, crushed it, crushed it, crushed it. Boom. Next question is, okay, what needs a little work? Just 1 or 2 things. 1 or 2 things, because we're always trying to be the best at getting better. So we're trying to make steps to improve, but we're not overwhelming ourselves with all the things that we need to do better. We're just thinking about the week. Okay, I could communicate a little bit better with my partner. And maybe I can take a little bit more initiative on the dishes. Great. Those things need a little work. And then step number 3, most important step, is the action step. What steps, what actions, what movements can I make that will help me improve upon the things I identified in number 2? Simple 3-step approach, questionnaire, reflection for the end of the day or the end of the week that allows you to just change your story a little bit, challenge your inner rock star, and really see actually what's happening, good, bad, and everything in between. You could also use the start, stop, continue method. It's just very similar, but one thing you want to start doing, one thing you want to stop doing, and one thing you want to continue doing. Because the fastest way to improve your life is to stop doing the things that make you feel like shit. That's it. Now, next one, number 4, exercise. Exercise, exercise, exercise. Exercise will change your self-image. It will, because many studies have shown a correlation between exercise and higher self-image, as well as improved mental health. We know that's a fact. That's a fact. Exercise is one of the best things you can do for your physical, but most importantly, your mental health. Exercising creates empowerment, both physical and mental, especially weightlifting, where you can calibrate your accomplishments very easily. So when you do your well, better, how exercise, you're like, boom, lift 10 more pounds, bop, 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 whatever it is. Exercise organizes your day around self-care, which helps you organize your self-image. But exercise really is about making those little promises and keeping those little commitments you make to yourself. That's how you enhance your confidence. You enhance your confidence by keeping those promises you make to yourself. And if you say you're going to go to the gym and you go to the gym, that's enhancing your self-image because you do what you say you're going to do. And I'm getting a little ahead of myself before I go to number 5, which is basically what I just said, but I wanted to touch on that first before I reiterate it fully in the next step. But if we're thinking about exercising, we're just thinking about the 4 foundations of being a human being: eating, moving, sleeping, and thinking. Thinking encompasses a lot, encompasses breathing, gratitude, optimism, but moving, eating, and sleeping are very self-explanatory. And we dial in those 4 things. There's just no way that we don't boost our self-image because we're eating what we should be eating. We're eating the best foods to nourish and honor our body. We're moving daily to honor our body, to get stronger, to take care of ourselves so we can have quality of life over the long run. And we're sleeping because we know sleep is the best recovery tool that we have available to us. And it allows us to optimize our energy because with no energy, we can't do anything. We can't be our best if we have no energy. So we're prioritizing eating, moving, and sleeping so that we can think the best possible way and we can enhance our self-image every day by keeping those little promises we make to ourselves, and they build up over time. So it's not just exercise, but it's eating, it's moving, it's sleeping, and it's thinking. Those 4 things, those foundational pieces of being a human being, you step into those and you start making those a top priority every single day. There's no way you don't increase your self-image and the view you have of yourself and the commitments you make to yourself. It's amazing. Number 5, very simply put, number 5 is do what you say you are going to do. Ask yourself this question right now. Ask yourself this question right now and answer it as honestly as possible. Do you do what you say you will do? Do you? Do you do what you say you will do? Think about how that might affect your self-image. Notice how often you say you'll do things that you don't actually do and perhaps never even intended to do. Never even intended to do. Focus on the big things and the little things. When you say you'll get back to someone in 5 minutes or tomorrow, get back to them in 5 minutes or tomorrow. When you say you'll take your son to the park, take your son to the park. When you say you'll show up and meditate tomorrow morning, show up and meditate tomorrow morning. Do what you say you are going to do. It's the fastest way you can boost your self-image, by doing what you say you're going to do. Keep those little commitments and those promises you make to yourself on a day-to-day basis. Because then you are who you say you are. Then you are who you think you are. Then when you look in the mirror, you're like, yep, I did what I said I was going to do. And that's how you start to change and alter your self-image for the better. That's how you start constructing this new you. That's how you start to unearth this person that's always been there with this untapped potential and beauty and worth. So you keep the promises you make to yourself and you do what you say you will do. Because the little things matter. The little things matter if you want the credibility to change your self-image. You can't just change your self-image by just thinking about it. You have to earn the credibility to change it by eating, moving, sleeping, thinking well, changing your story, challenging your inner rock star, right? And doing the things you say you will do. Keeping those promises and commitments you make to yourself on a day-to-day basis. Very important. And a way to capitalize on those promises and commitments is That's Like Me. That's Like Me is one of my favorite things that I have learned by studying all the best mental performance coaches on the planet. And this one's from Lenny Basham. Our self-image is what makes you act like you. That's what we've been talking about. If you have poor self-image, you will never consistently perform better than that self-image. Not consistently. Sometimes it might happen, but not consistently. And if we want to be the best at what we do, we have to perform consistently at that level, whether it's an elite mom, elite grocery store clerk, an elite baseball player, whatever it is, right? We want to be able to consistently perform at our best. So the good news is, like we've been talking about through all the other 5 steps, we can improve our self-image. Dial in those 5 steps that we just talked about, and then reinforce it with this last step. This is positively reinforcing the things that we're doing. That's what That's Like Me is. So your current self-image has been formed by countless imprints. Therefore, if we want to change it, we need to bombard ourselves with a constant diet of positive imprints, removing the negative internal chit-chat and never talking about things we don't want to see in our lives, while affirming with action all the things we do want to see come to fruition in our lives. We want to rehearse our optimal performance each time we perform at our best, from the rehearsed visualized moments to the most mundane real moments in real time. We want to affirm, that's like me. That's like me. That's like me to nail the presentation. That's like me to do 10 extra sales calls. That's like me to meditate for another day in a row. That's like me to take a deep breath before I have this conversation. That's like me to show up and crush a workout even though I didn't feel like it. That's like me. That's like me. That's like me. That's how we positively reinforce ourselves after we do what we said we're going to do. And that's how we start to enhance our self-image over and over and over again. Okay, very important. So those are the 6 tools you can start to use to construct your new self-image. And it starts by doing the work. What was number 1? Awareness, acceptance, action. What's the most important step? Action, 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 action. Nothing is going to change. The needle will never move forward, and you will never construct a new you if you don't start acting. If you don't start acting. Because imagine how you would feel if you were already the sort of personality you want to be. If you have been shy and timid, see yourself moving among people with ease and poise and feeling good because of it. If you have been fearful and anxious in certain situations, see yourself acting calmly and deliberately, acting with confidence and courage and feeling expansive and confident because you are. Because you are. Let's combine that optimized self-image visualization with massive action. That's what it is. Visualizing, seeing yourself with this great self-image, and then having massive action. It's the act like it principle. Act like it. Act like it. Well, how? Well, imagine the best version of yourself, then act like that version of yourself all day, every day. It might be helpful to think of your old personality as being on vacation for 2 weeks. So you have an opportunity to act like a different person. It is important, however, that you play out your new role 24 hours a day, even when you're alone. That's the act as if principle, and it will cause you to feel like a new person, and the new you will soon become part of your actual identity, of your actual repeated beingness. Act like that best version of you all day, every day, along with those other 6 steps that we mentioned. So clearly, after all of this discussion, your self-image matters. It matters deeply because you matter deeply. And actualizing your fullest potential and best version of you in greatest service of the world is extremely important to the fabric of our society. So let's visualize ourselves at our absolute best, then act like that version of ourselves all day, every day. The old you, they're on a permanent vacation. And so I'll leave you with this. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And this is one that is worth keeping in mind as well. It is not because things are difficult that you do not dare. It is because you do not dare that things are difficult. So go for it. Really go for it. All in. You got this. And thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time and attention. And I'll see you guys next time. Cheers. Thank you very much for tuning into that episode. And if you enjoyed it, click right here for another full-length episode of the podcast. And please don't forget to subscribe. But most importantly, above all else, please take good care of yourselves and others. And I'll see you next time. Lots of love. Cheers.